haven't really tried it yet.
It's delicious. How many are left in there?
Like 2 of them.
Okay, good.
You had one, I had one, I think.
Two.
Two of this specific beer.
It's a delicious California common beer.
Oh my God.
And I would like some.
Welcome everybody to another episode of the Wish You Were Beer Show. Thank you so much for stopping by. This is a weekly beer show. It's not bi-weekly. It's not every other month. We literally do this every Thursday night unless we are all traveling, which is pretty few and far between.
Yeah. Or we're just like, you know what? Nah. And we just don't do the show. We've done that a couple times. We're like, we should take a hiatus.
I don't think it's ever been like, oh, we just don't want to do it.
Nope, that's exactly what it is.
This is news.
No.
This show is off to a start.
It's my favorite way to start a show.
We're obviously fighting.
Yeah, professionals.
Yeah. No, we're not. We're actually great.
Yeah. We do this show every Thursday night. So if you like beer adjacent things, you like chatting about beer, you like getting shit housed on beer, really, we got something for everyone. And tonight's about getting shit housed.
That's not my plan.
Oh my God. We should have talked about this before the show.
I got you. You do you, boo.
If you'll do us a favor, go down to the bottom of the screen there. You can see all of our social medias. Stop by there and follow along with us. That's where you can get all of our individual beer drinking escapades. So you can catch up with where Phil is down in Miami. You can catch up with Tiffany and I as well here in Virginia and check out some of the breweries that we spend a lot of time in. Up at the top of the page there is our website, wishyouwerebeershow.com. Make sure you swing through there. That's got a litany of all of our past episodes, some information about the show, the folks involved. It also has a beautiful merch store where you can pick up shirts, fanny packs, hats,
like this
jackets.
This
really,
shirt.
There's a lot of shit on there that I forget about, in all honesty.
I'm just a walking merch store right now.
You're a whore for the industry, and I love it. I love it. But yeah, that's probably one of the easiest ways to support the show if you do enjoy spending time with us. Buy something from the merch store. Share it with your friends. Share us along the social medias. We would really appreciate it. Oh my God, Andrew has family in town. Please keep it family friendly. I started with I'm getting shithoused tonight. So
off to a great start.
That is my bad, bud.
Tossing back natty lights.
However, I think I've met some of your families, so if they're not sure that's my MO, then I don't think they're really paying any attention.
So apologies to our Instagram live viewers. We just got it going, so we're late.
No, that's fine.
So many people over there that were just coming in and complaining that we weren't there.
So for those of you who just joined us on Instagram, this is a weekly. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to go through all that shit again. But thank you as always for everyone for stopping by. We really appreciate it. Make sure you say hello in the comments section and keep up with us over there. We're gonna do a couple of different beers tonight, which is a little different than what we normally do. So it should be a lot of fun. As always, I'm Daniel. That's Tiffany. That is Phil. Phil, you're still, I assume, still in Miami, correct?
Yeah, I'm still in my office space in Miami. Okay. I've, just sleeping in my office because I haven't found a place to live yet.
Is your office just the living room of your house?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
Just making sure. I was getting worried.
But shout out to Andrew for still watching the show, even though his family's there.
Yeah.
Man, you guys are
dedication.
really desperate. Yeah, for entertainment.
Daniel's getting shithoused was the first thing my mother-in-law heard. Wonderful. Yeah, you might want to bring your family in on another show. That's on me.
You need to give your family beers ahead of time.
Correct.
So then they're a little bit more relaxed.
Dave, how are you, my friend? Vero, always good to see your face. We are going to be playing trivia tonight as well. So if you've kept up on the show with any regularity, we do use Kahoot to play trivia. So go ahead and log into Kahoot. You can do it through Kahoot.it or on the actual app for Kahoot. Put in our game pen down there at the bottom of the screen. Make your team name. Get that up and running now. Be creative.
Yes.
So that way, once we get into trivia, you're ready to get your ass handed to you.
Yep. What is our theme? Is it just like...
It's not really a theme. So again, tonight we're going to be doing, we decided each one of us got a different, bigger brand of beer. Something that's a little more prevalent and a little larger scale than some of the smaller breweries, microbreweries, regular breweries that we do on a regular basis. So we're all three going to be doing different beers. So we all three pitched in on the trivia about the different beers or the different breweries involved. So it should be a lot of fun. I did 2 questions. Tiffany did 2 questions. Phil came up with 2 questions about his beer. So really, it's going to be a crapshoot if you get any of them right. Like, you'd have to really just be lucky as hell.
Or just know us would probably help.
Yeah, that's fair.
I'm going to start drinking my beer because I've got 2 of them here because, the bigger brands sometimes have nice, easy drinking light beer so you can have multiples of.
Fair.
And
finish my kombucha.
Mine tonight is Red Stripe, which I'm very excited about. So.
It's still one of my favorite little bottles every time I see it somewhere too, like very always. Cute.
Yeah, it's 11.2 ouncer, which is great.
Yep. It's quite the piece of machinery.
Yeah.
So
I am doing Fat Tire. More to come.
Ooh, new bottle.
The new version.
Have you had this one yet?
I don't think so.
No, I don't think we have.
So this is me trying the new. Well, there's a long backstory with me and Fat Tire. So this is.
Are we going to talk about how much you love Fat Tire again? I feel like it's been like 9 episodes.
I've been drinking this beer since I wasn't allowed to. And I was a relatively snobby beer drinker even in college. So I would usually bring a 6-pack of Fat Tire, and that is what I would drink. And if you were nice to me, you may get 1.
I was throwing down 30 racks of Natty Light in college, so I'd have been like, cool story, bro. Enjoy your $22 6-pack. I got 30 of these for 97 cents.
Daniel, what was our go-to cheap shitty beer in college?
I mean, just the sangria, I assume.
Honestly, we drank a lot of sangria, just as bros do.
Pitchers of sangria, if I remember correctly.
Very correct, sir. No, but I think we drank a lot of Bud Heavy. I don't think we were drinking Bud Light, but regular Budweiser was pretty cheap. And I think I got
Budweiser's a friend of mine.
Correct answer. I could have swore we always had some Miller Lite floating around as well.
I want to say
OG ones.
Yeah, I want to say Miller Lite was the beer I suffered through when I was trying to be cool and drink beer back then.
Yeah, 100%.
Because my go-to at that point was probably Mike's Hard Lemonades and Smirnoff Ices.
I do. We do have some photographic evidence of you and Mike's Hard Lemonade actually somewhere. It's floating around somewhere.
I'm sure. I remember my first beer drinking experience was in New York with you probably.
Yeah.
And it was the pitchers at Big Nick's.
Yep.
And I think it was that was probably a Miller Lite, Coors Light, one of those.
Probably Coors Light. Coors Light was really prevalent.
Was that was the good keg.
Yeah. I had a Busch Light 2 weekends ago, Andy.
Did you really?
Yeah, I'm a creature of opportunity. What? And the opportunity presented itself.
Where?
Dave is hitting me hard right there with the
MGD guy. You're damn right.
When I moved out to LA, that was my LA college beer for sure. I have not had an MGD in so long.
Now I kind of want to have one again because you're right. It's been a long time.
I feel like I don't even see them anymore. I don't know. Maybe I'm just missing out.
They're nostalgia beers. You got to order them off online now. They're in some Etsy shop for $60 now. I handcrafted this beer.
What are you drinking?
Eventually I'm going to be drinking something, but currently I got started early because again, shithoused. This is a California comment I'm having currently called On the Fritz from Virginia Beer Company. That is stellar. Just wanted to throw that out there. But I decided to go with the Devil's Backbone beer, but I wanted to do something a little bit different than their Vienna Lager or their 8-point IPA. So they have a Juicy Magic, which is their variation of a juicy or a hazy. So I'm going to try that because I haven't really had this one before. Obviously, we've all had some Devil's Backbone beers at this point in our life, but I'm going to give this one a whirl, see what it does for me.
Tiffany, you mentioned when we were talking about the beers we were doing tonight, and Daniel chose Devil's Backbone. I was actually kind of on your side of this debate of whether or not you think of Devil's Backbone as a big brand beer.
So
who owns it?
Well, okay, so it was purchased by InBev approximately 3-4 years ago. I think it was right before the pandemic.
I think it was longer than that now. It
I
seems
have
like
no
it
idea
was
what
like recently, but I think it was a long time ago now.
Time is a man-made.
But we'll get into some of my stuff. Thank you very much during trivia.
But my comment was just that is that like big beer enough?
Mm-hmm.
Like I understand that they have now Budweiser's like
Distribution
ability to yes. However, I still feel like it's on the cusp.
That's fair.
Because it's still like one of their craft brands.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's a household name. I'll be honest. Before coming down to visit you, and you were like, "Let's go to Devil's Backbone."
Oh yeah,
I had not heard of Devil's Backbone.
I forgot we went there. I had a rough day there, but that's fine.
So for me, when you were like, "I'm doing Devil's Backbone," I was like, "Isn't that just like a Virginia type beer?" Like it just seemed like it wasn't a big brand.
Fair.
But I'm sure we're going to learn when you tell us a little bit more about it.
We are going to learn a little bit on that, but yeah, it's larger than it feels nowadays because of AB being able to distro that product. It's close to in all 52 states at this point, which is
you mean DC and Puerto Rico?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Those aren't technically states.
You know what I mean?
That's fine.
Yeah. I'm sorry. So it's got a pretty heavy distro game nowadays. Whether or not it's a household name, I agree. Whether or not it's really large enough to be considered. I mean, if we're having that conversation, I wouldn't think New Belgium is even in that category either, even though Fat Tire's been around forever. What else they do? Voodoo Ranger and Fat Tire, right?
They do a lot.
Not that I drink.
Yeah, but I think the Fat Tire brand itself is bigger. Like it's like if you can pick something up at 7-Eleven, you're probably in a pretty big brand name.
Got this at 7-Eleven.
Yeah, but it's still a local brewery.
Yeah, but you're getting at your Virginia 7-Eleven.
You just proved my point, Bill.
I didn't see
I
didn't see any Devil's Backbone in the liquor store I went to here.
It's probably down south. It's probably less prevalent, I think, northern. If I had to guess, I would assume it's throughout Florida in some capacity. But
I don't know if Dave is still here. I need you to tell me if you can find Devil's Backbone.
He's about 6 MGDs deep right now. I don't know.
God, I hope so. I hope so. Again, I'm going to stop arguing with people. I decided on a beer. I went with it, and God damn it, we're already too late. We got to do it.
Well, I mean, there was some disagreements, and you went with it anyways. But it's cool.
It's fine. It's totally not a partnership.
Well, actually, Phil, you waited to be live on the show to tell me that you agreed. True. You never responded.
I like to bring a little drama to the live show. All right. Because what else are we doing?
Yeah, I agree.
I do have a poll going up, which enough people have voted for that I'm going to end it. I asked everyone today which is their favorite light beer.
Okay.
Between Miller Lite, Bud Light, Natural Light, and Coors Light.
It's got to be.
What do you think it's at right now?
It's the Natty Daddy, 100%.
Natty. Which of those four is your favorite? The two of you.
What were they again? Sorry.
Miller, Bud, Natural, or Coors?
I probably drink more Coors Light than any of the other ones because I drink a lot of that during like football season. It's just easy.
Yeah.
Is it the one you drink the most though, or is it the one you like the most?
No, that's all Natty Light, boo.
See, there you go.
That shit bats.
Cannot tell you the flavor profile of really any of them except for that they're like really like a sweet, light, like watery beer.
So if those four are on a shelf or in the fridge, and those are the only 4 beers in the fridge, which one are you grabbing?
Dave says he got kicked out, but no, he can't get Devil's Backbone there.
I would reach for the Coors first, and then probably the Miller, and then the Bud, and then the Natty.
I'd probably go for Purple Stuff. No. Sunny D. No. All right. What about you, Phil? What's your go-to out of those 4?
Miller.
Okay.
I think I drank so much Miller in my 20s that it just kind of became the thing that I'm.
Yep.
It is I don't know what it is. It's probably Miller, Coors, Bud, Natty.
Okay, fair.
Natty's definitely at the bottom of the shelf for me.
Wow. We live very different lives. That's a top tier for me.
Unless it's Natty Ice. Then
Thank
we
you.
got a whole different story.
That's different. You think you can't find that in the 7-Eleven. You fucked up.
Well, the poll came to Miller Lite winning at 83% of the votes. So,
Okay, interesting.
yeah. Bud Light came in second. And then the other two didn't get any votes. So
Where did
good
Platinum
news.
come in?
I didn't want to make it unfair. So I didn't want to put Bud Platinum in there.
Because that's not even the question at that
Yeah.
point.
I
Do you
needed
like
people to pick
drinking the
something
periodic table?
Metallic.
Yeah, it is. All right. Again, we are doing 3 different beers and 3 different breweries tonight that are larger scale breweries. So we are going to be playing trivia here shortly. So don't forget, we use Kahoot. So there's the game pin. You can get it at kahoot.it or through the app. So put in our game pin. Go ahead and make your team name. Make it something clever about how right I am that Devil's Backbone is a large enough brand to be involved in this conversation.
How
Or
much
don't.
you love Natty
Or
Ice.
fuck off and get out. Really, whichever one. But we are going to be playing trivia. So again, go ahead, make all your team names, get your in line, so that we can play trivia and I can remember what questions I wrote to prove how much this beer should be in this
Hold on.
conversation.
Are we doing this now?
Proposed
Now.
poll. What is the best 40 ounce to play Edward 40 hands?
God, that's a loaded question. Edward 40 hands, really, I feel like you just have to have a cold 45 because if you're going to be drinking 2 40s, you need somebody to really regret their entire life. And I just can't think of a better beer to do that with.
Maybe we should do that on the Bro Show next week.
Get some 40s.
Or play the game throughout the whole episode.
It's going to be tough because we got to use the keyboard occasionally. Can you imagine? Oh, these 40 hands.
But I do like the idea of a 40s show next week.
We could do that. You pick a 40, I'll pick a 40, and we'll slowly get through it.
Good news. I will not be here next week. Best of luck to all of our viewers.
Yeah. 40.
Should be good.
I can't tell you the last time I drank a 40. Like, it's just, I've drank like 40 ounces of beer on a somewhat consistent basis, but like an actual 40
I know the next time you are.
So when we first got together, I had never had most 40s. I don't know if I had had any. Again, I brought Fat Tire to my college parties.
Embarrassing. I wouldn't put that in.
Yeah. That's how long this goes back. I want everyone to know that. I've been drinking beer before it was cool. No, I think we went and we grabbed a 40 from 7-Eleven.
We did.
And you made me try it, and I was like, "This is the most wretched thing I've ever had." Like it was.
And then I had to drive around and drink the rest of it. The worst.
It doesn't even fit in your cup holder.
No, it doesn't, and it's hard to drive a manual while you're holding it. So it was a blast. I was basically Edward 40 handsing the vehicle, which is very unnerving. Don't drink and drive.
Yeah, since the 80s, that is not allowed.
Yeah. I mean, if you're just having a beer after work, though, I don't understand what the problem is.
You are that
Everybody
man.
is so uptight.
You are that man from the video.
We just saw an old video, like a news video of how pissed off some of these like random people in like the Midwest were when they started having open alcohol containers in the vehicle
and seatbelts.
So it's like this.
Soon we're going to be communists.
It's this Midwest guy, and he's like, "You telling me after I work 11, 12 hours a day, I can't even drive home and have a couple of beers? We're about to be communist." It is the best sound clip and video. And then there's like a woman, there's like a baby falling out of the passenger seat the whole interview. And she's like, "What's
Just
next?"
bouncing around.
Yeah, exactly. She's like, telling us when we can't wear a seatbelt, when we can drink a beer, and where we can and can't do. We're about communists. Like they all three said the same thing as their tail end. I was like, God, I bet their kids are doing great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, they're great.
Yeah. All right. Do we jump into trivia?
Are we going to do trivia?
I think we should.
we do.
I think you all have had.
Okay, Gabriel. Sorry. Blurble.
Okay. It's actually better when you say it.
Does that mean anything? Am I missing something?
It's blue purple.
Should we check on him?
He's all right. He'll make it.
He had a keystroke. All right. So again, yes, 40 Edward hands. Oh God, baby in law is in town. Now I feel bad. A friend of mine.
Gabriel got real creative, unless that's not Gabriel and it's someone else trying to be Gabriel.
Correct. And beers.
Oh, we lost one.
Who was it?
That was
the
40
40
hands.
Oh yeah. Well, they were trying to type with the 40s. They probably spilled all over everything. All right. So just remember with Kahoot here, it's not just about being right. It's about being right and the fastest to be right. You get more points for that. So go with your gut. Don't hem and haw around. Just, I know the answer to this. Click the button.
Yep.
And that
Right.
saves me time.
Let's go.
Let's do it. I like this beachy Kahoot theme, by the way. I haven't seen that
Put it
back
up.
then. Never went down the fast track. Sorry. All right. I think the first question is mine, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yep.
So Devil's Backbone is named after a mountain ridge that surrounds the brewery. Who is responsible for naming that mountain ridge? Is it George Washington, Thomas Jefferson's father, or George Washington's grandson?
Ooh.
And I know who two of these people are. Bonus question.
What if George Washington's grandson? Nope.
Who?
What do we got?
Correct. It was Thomas Jefferson's father. So Thomas Jefferson's father was a big land surveyor in that region of Virginia, pretty much for his entire life. So he's actually credited with naming quite a few things up in Northern Virginia and out in the western part of the state with the mountain ranges and whatnot. And Devil's Backbone was coined by him because when you see the mountain range, it's very jagged. It goes up and down, looks a little bit like a stegosaurus. So he named it aptly the Devil's Backbone. So
Because his spine is broken.
And Phil and I have been there together too.
We have.
And Tiffany and I have been there together without Phil too.
Yeah.
We did
We-
Devil's Backbone while we were there, but
Yeah. Phil and I used to do what we called a brony moon. It hasn't really happened since COVID times, where we would just go get out like an Airbnb somewhere and hang out for a weekend and catch up. And
In the mountains.
In the mountains usually. So we did it near Devil's Backbone one year in the Nelson 151, where there's quite a few of some pretty famous breweries. And we got plastered one night, myself more than Phil. And so the next morning we got up and I was like, well, we got to go to Devil's Backbone. Like they have good breakfast. They have all these things. I sat in Devil's Backbone with Phil and cold sweated and thought for sure I was going to throw up everything I was looking at for like an hour.
it's crazy that I don't normally see you sick like that.
Whew.
Like, it's rare. I always remember being the one hurting more than you.
Yeah, that one got me good. And then we decided, I said, Phil, we just got to go outside and get some fresh air. I made it 100 yards, and then we sat for another hour outside.
Well, you know what the problem was is that, well, not the problem, is the best thing ever is that there was karaoke at the place. So we were just there.
Yeah, we were there all night.
Yeah. And we can't stop drinking when you're doing karaoke.
Not anytime soon. Whew, that was rough.
I'm glad you survived.
We went back. We took a nap separately. And then
Well,
we were back.
you thought it was separate, but I was Devil's Backbone in you.
All right, let's use the one person who got this correct.
All right.
Duh, beers.
Good
Congratulations. You are smarter than baby-in-law, which, duh.
Take much. All right.
Didn't take much.
Another Devil's Backbone question here for
Yes.
you.
Yes. All right. Is it true or false? Devil's Backbone is no longer a craft brewery. True or false? Oh, the suspense is killing me.
I mean, I'm going to assume it's no longer just because it's on this episode.
Fair. But y'all argued that it shouldn't be on this episode because it's not. So I don't know what you people want from me anymore.
Oh.
All right, so it is true. And the craft brewing guild and all the people that make all these rules and regulations on what's considered a craft brewery, their set point on what they consider a craft brewery is no more than 25% owned by a brand that is not a craft brewery. So because when InBev and AB bought it, you can have other parties involved, but they have to be smaller shares than 25%. So they can be backers, they can do all those things. But if more than 25% of your brand is owned outside of a craft brewery brand, then you are no longer in the craft brewery game. So if you look up craft breweries, Devil's Backbone is not one of them anymore.
So that's actually the definition of a craft brewery. It's not actually how much beer you make, but it's
That's how you differentiate between like
microbrewery,
a
a nano brewery,
brewing or whatever. There's a bunch of them.
Yeah, the barrel game and volume you're putting out distinguishes what type of brewery you are.
What type of craft brewery.
Correct. But yeah, the actual craft brewery one is shit. You can be putting out 100 barrels a year if you're doing it with the same family that's always made it, and it's in-house and you don't have outside partners who own 75% of it that are InBev or who's the other big motherfucker that buys everybody?
It's the one Sapporo is
right, that's what I'm saying. I can't think of the name of it, but you know, most of these larger scale breweries are owned by about 5 different parties, really, when it cracks down to it. The little craft beer tree that you can look up online is really interesting to see, like, oh, this is the person and these are 9 offshoots of their money. And here's how much of a percentage they're involved in that. Because that was another conversation that I read online about Anheuser-Busch buying. I'm sorry, I don't know if I'm allowed to say Anheuser-Busch. AB buying Devil's Backbone is that they've bought other brands where they completely let them continue to do business as a separate brand, but it was a lower like buyout. It wasn't 100% like what they did with Devil's Backbone. And there's other larger brands that have bought craft breweries that keep them as an extension of themselves, but let them continue to do business as, make whatever they want, distribute as much as they want or not. And those are all different relationships between somebody buying a brewery and somebody running a brewery, which is really interesting and goes down a whole different rabbit hole of weird business, not just beer business.
Now,
But
now I don't know if you know this, because I know it's no longer a question, but when it comes to like why do we know why Devil's Backbone sold off? Was it literally just like a payday, or was there more?
It was they still, I don't think they've still officially released. I think they're all still under NDAs on what that payout was. So if there's an NDA on what your payout is, I'm going to assume it was probably about the money.
Yeah.
Because Devil's Backbone was doing pretty well in general.
Yeah.
I mean,
but they had a great property that they were expanding,
Correct.
and then once they were purchased, it like blew up.
yeah. So they were already on 400 acres in a pretty pristine spot with the
Yeah.
original owners. So that's not a bad place, and they were already building it up. There's a ski resort that's right around the corner from them. So they get a lot of tourism money, even in the cold months,
Yep.
as well as the summer months. So it's kind of one of the Kickstarters of this Nelson 151 beer chain,
Yeah.
where these breweries are set up because they do get year round.
Them and then Blue Mountain Brewing.
Blue Mountain and Star Hill's been there a long
That's
time
true,
as
yeah.
well. But yeah, so I think I'd be an idiot to say it wasn't the money, regardless of what they said, because yeah, I'm sure it was like, oh, we wanted to focus more on our time with our fans. The fuck you did. Give me $20 million and you can focus on your family all you want, bro. It's real easy.
Yeah, and at some point, whenever you're allowed to again, start brewing another place that's tiny with like, now you don't have to think about money while you're doing it.
Correct. 100%. So
I will say that I appreciate that the original Vienna lager, which was their like, flagship, was everywhere. They have not still to this point changed the recipe.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same still.
So
yeah.
I will say that it still tastes like it's a craft brewery, even if it's not technically one.
Fair. Well, I'm going to trash the beer I'm having, but yes, we can get into that later. Let's see who got this right. Because I assume it was De Beers. You son of a bitch. Boy, baby-in-law really shit in the bed. Baby's typically historically very intelligent, but boy, the in-laws get around and just blah, blah, blah.
So distracted.
Baby.
So we finished the questions about Backbone. Do you want to tell us a little bit what you think of this beer that you're having?
Yeah, I'll do that real quick, and I'll keep it tight. But it's exactly what I expected. So it's a 7%er. It's listed as a juicy IPA. I get it. At 7%, some of the flavors are a little bit weak, but with the volume of production, it's exactly what it should be. If you're buying this off of a 7-Eleven shelf or a Food Lion shelf, can art's fun. It's bright. It's got a deer on it. It says Juicy Magic. He's got roller skates and a headband. Fuck it. Throw it down the hatch.
Very 80s.
I'd pick up a 6-pack of it if I didn't even know what it was and try it. And if it's hard for me because we've had so many styles or so many versions of this style of beer that are fucking amazing.
Yeah.
This one is obviously well done. It's extremely palatable. It's approachable. It's a great beer for what it is. Am I going to go out of my way to keep this in my fridge? Not when there's other options around from a smaller craft brewery that are going to fucking roll this beer left and right.
Yeah.
Has the price come down on Devil's Backbone because of it now? Like, is that your standard kind of
this was cheaper than what this came in a 6-pack of 12-ounce cans in a box. And it was cheaper than what I normally would have got a 4-pack of craft 16-ounce cans.
So what are you talking about? Like 12 to 16?
I think it was $13.99 for a 6-pack, which most of the time you're going to pay $16-17 sometimes for a 4-pack of decent craft beer. 16 ounces, but so. Again, I'm not mad about it. I'm not really going to trash it. I mean, it's a good beer. I just think, is it going to be like my go-to in the fridge of this style of beer? Probably not.
That's the quick pick up something before you go to a party. And
correct.
7-Eleven, you don't want to show up with Miller Lights. You're like, well, you at least grab this.
Or I got somebody who doesn't really drink a lot of beer, but might like that style of beer. Really great gateway juicy IPA.
Gateway drug beer.
Yeah. It's the marijuana of craft beer. Because it only goes downhill after this one.
All right. We are moving on now to Fat Tire.
And Tiffany's going to have to live read.
No,
you're going to have to live read the question. And boy, this is a struggle.
No, it's fine. I got it.
Quiz. Oh.
All right. In what year did Fat Tire become the nation's first carbon neutral beer? Is it 2007, 2015, 2020, or 2024?
Trick question. They brew with coal.
They got coal miners in there.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, so it was 2020.
I would have said 2015. I thought they were earlier in that game. But...
So they were, but they weren't certified yet. So in 2003, they stood up their in-house sustainability department with the idea that they firmly believed in like making beer that was good for the environment, but also still delicious.
Okay.
And so they were actually the largest personally owned solar farm in the state of Colorado for a very long time. So they by the time they got to 2020, they had turned Fat Tire's original recipe. They'd figured out how to basically make it a carbon neutral beer. And then in the year 2020, they got it certified so that it really was a carbon neutral beer.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And then with this new variant of beer, they actually were able to make it even less of a like footprint. And that's part of the reason they actually changed a little bit of the recipe. So
don't
Listen, I'm just telling you what the
Don't
internet
harlot
says.
me about the fact that they tried to rebrand a beer that was dropping in numbers. Don't try to make it about their carbon footprint.
They did say that they wanted to make sure that this beer was very much so highlighted and like focused on the fact that it's a carbon neutral beer. They wanted to make sure it really brought that out, but also that it is an opportunity to highlight their ongoing investments like elsewhere into like climate solutions and all that sort of stuff.
Very cool. And no one got this right.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Was it the right question and answer?
It is. That is exactly the answer. In what year did it become the first carbon neutral beer? And it's 2020.
Why are you so aggressive?
I'm
man?
just
It's
saying,
okay.
don't tell me I'm wrong on my own question. People,
I mean, didn't you say that it was like not quite right?
no, I did not say that.
No. She said they found a way to reduce the footprint even more, which doesn't have to do with the carbon neutral end. It has
Correct.
to do with making the beer and some of the
Yes.
products they were using.
And they started their sustainability department early. And this is when it finally came to fruition.
The comment section is going off right now.
Yeah.
They are not
Gabriel's very upset.
Fine.
All right.
I'm on TV and you aren't.
Wow, that's not. I wouldn't brag about that because I could be on Cops.
Yeah.
All right. You don't want to say you're on TV because no one really knows.
Uh,
All right, no one got that
There was
one
a
right.
hanging chain.
pregnant
And I will
kid.
say, if you've been kicked out of trivia, the scores are not that high right now, and there's still
Yeah.
I think three or four questions left.
Everyone keeps saying we should reinstate them. I'm like, yeah, I don't think that's how that works. We don't have a say in this.
Just log out, log back in, get that number going, and I think you still have a chance to win this thing.
100%.
True story.
Especially with Tiffany's wrong answers.
True or false? Prior to this recipe change, Fat Tire's recipe had remained unchanged for 25 years. True or
That's a
false?
fat tire.
Yeah.
God.
It is false.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
It
think
was
26
actually longer.
years.
No, it was longer. So Fat Tire debuted in 1991. It was one of the first beers that the owners created, and they sold it at the Colorado Brewers Festival in June. So after, and I do have my notes, by the way, so I'm reading them, and I know it looks like that.
It does.
So after 32 years, they changed up everything from like branding to the recipe. So this used to be an American amber that had more like dry, biscuity, sweet, like kind of hoppy, just very classic American amber. And this one, you can see the color is not
Is early morning urine.
is not the amber color. It is a blonde golden ale. It is I hate to say it, this is a more approachable beer, like in the sense that amber ales are very classic, but most people aren't reaching for amber beers. It's much more beers in this color. So whether it's an IPA or a Pilsner or somewhere in between.
That's too bad.
I will say I can tell. So they did keep the grain bill, or at least the same grains in it. So the grain bill is still the same, but it is definitely a different beer.
Yeah.
So they say it's easy drinking, medium
It's
body,
not.
crisp finish, a
It's
deep
not.
gold color,
It's not.
subtle caramel. Wow, it's fine. And floral aromas and light bitterness.
Yeah, no.
So to me, this is
Wait, hold on. Let's see who got the question right first.
okay.
Oh, Gabriel, you sly fox.
I would like a recount because you're wrong.
All right, so this is the rebrand of
Correct.
Fat Tire. What do you actually think about it?
So I went through my Untapped and checked my original Fat Tire rating. Originally, I gave Fat Tire a 4.5. It was still, like, even after that many years, it was still a delicious classic amber, and it was also nostalgic. Like it also brings me back. This one doesn't have the nostalgia outside of the name.
Sure.
It is a different beer. There are a ton of craft breweries that do blondes, and they are doing golden ales that I think really similarly can blow this out of the water because they're using smaller scale. They're using, maybe a higher quality grain or malt or whatever. This one, it's very well done. It's very well blended, but it kind of has that it's a bigger brewery taste. I don't know. It's not bad. Same thing. Would I stock my fridge with this? Maybe once in a while. Like I'll grab a 6-pack of it. Maybe.
I mean, they really made the mistake of losing the nostalgia factor, which I feel like so many people have with that beer.
I think so as well.
So I think it's twofold. I think one, they've lost the nostalgia of it, but on the other side, I think they've made a more modern beer that will sell better.
Fair.
So I think that they're going to be able to bring more people in, especially if they really focus on like the climate sustainability and all the efforts that they are doing. I feel like more responsible for the climate if I'm drinking this versus something else.
24 of them and throw the bottles in the trash.
I don't know. I think Natty Ice is doing probably some pretty good stuff.
Yeah, they are. Because we're reusing those cans for bongs. It's highly sustainable.
Anyway, I still think it's a well-done beer.
Sure.
So I think if I was to rate the new version, I'd probably get a 3.75.
Fair.
Nice.
So not a bad score. It's just not the 4.5 that I had.
Not great either.
I just really like amber ale.
Shit together, New Belgium. All right, Phil, what are you doing again?
We're on to Red Stripe now.
Yes.
So here we go.
We haven't seen these questions. These are
Which
new.
team had a bobsled team? Oh, no. Okay.
You got to read it, man.
Red Stripe beer was originally brewed. I'm not used to reading the questions. Red Stripe beer was originally brewed in Colorado, Jamaica, Illinois, or Surrey, UK.
Look at Dave. That's got to be Dave. He's like, fucking A, right.
Dave's like 12 MGDs in at this point.
That's why he got this one right.
Yeah, so interesting enough about Red Stripe. It was originally made in Illinois, but it wasn't called Red Stripe at the time.
Okay.
It was just another beer that was made, and during the Depression, it got sold off to two gentlemen in the UK, and they ended up. That's when they ended up bringing it down to Jamaica to brew there, and also in the Netherlands. So that's where it is now brewed. So, but originally it's an American beer, which I think is, and it was also, oddly enough too, it wasn't the same style either. So really it's a completely different beer.
Yeah, and it actually doesn't surprise me that it was brewed in the U.S. initially, because who's better at appropriating cultures than us? Like, let's make a Jamaican beer and get a guy to.
Was it a Jamaican beer? I don't think that was.
Not originally, no.
No, of course not. I'm just making a joke.
Oh, I was like, oh.
I already made a bobsled team joke. Got me some slack.
True.
Oh, De Beers jumps in the lead.
I actually hope De Beers, because of Illinois, is Dave, especially since he's on pure opioids right now.
Oh, that's right.
Fucking trivia.
If you saw Dave on social today, he was looking great.
Dave had a beautiful day today. He looked good in the morning. He looked even better afterwards. Proud of you, Dave. I'm glad you're doing okay, though, bud.
All right. Next, Red Stripe, because we're coming to a close of the show.
No, we're not.
Red Stripe is named after
Red Stripe.
The alcohol ban in Jamaica, which was lifted in 1935, the red stripe that runs down the side of the local police uniform, the reddish tint the barley gave the beer, or a very bad sunburn the owners got on their trip to Jamaica.
God, I want it to be D so bad.
No, so it is named after the police uniform, and basically, from what I gathered, when when they were bringing in the beer, they were being checked by the police, and they said, "What's the name of the beer?" And the guy just said he let them name it. He was like, "I don't know, we don't have a name for it yet," and so they named it after the police officers there. So it was the red stripe that the police officers have on their uniform.
Interesting.
It's kind of weird, a beer named after police officers, which is kind of hilarious.
That is kind of fun. Yeah, but that's a fun backstory though. Like, because you'd never think that just picking up that like non-assuming bottle and the low ounces of it, and it looks like a weird different product if you didn't know what you were getting.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be like, oh yeah, like, obviously the red stripe from the cops.
Yeah. Collab brew.
It's a collab brew.
Just like Border.
Just like the Border policy and tequila.
And tequila. Yeah.
Gabriel, sly fox.
Sliding in there.
God.
What he does.
We gotta send him a shirt now. Is that how that works when
He
Gabriel
already has one made after himself.
I know, but we just
no.
I want to attaboy him a little bit.
Good job. You're still on.
Good job.
So for me, the reason I chose Red Stripe is it is it's similar actually to the Fat Tire that you were drinking, Tiffany, with my story behind it. I do remember when I first started kind of drinking beers. My brother is 4 years older than me. He started drinking before. And I remember like this was what he drank. And he had moved to like New York and like came back and he was like, I'm drinking red. So it was like one of those things that was in our fridge because he would buy them. And so in my eyes as like younger brother, like that was a cool beer to be drinking. So then it became the beer that like I started drinking because like, oh, my older brother's cool. He's drinking this. Like I'm going to drink this. And so I always do think of him every time I'm drinking one. So it's just kind of like a fun beer for me. Nostalgia. If they changed it, I probably wouldn't notice and wouldn't care. Like it's not like one of those beers where I'm like, it's a distinct beer that I need it to taste a certain way, like a Fat Tire. Because at the end of the day, it's a very basic, boring kind of beer, but it works perfectly for exactly what it is.
It does what it needs to do, and the nostalgia aspect is a huge aspect.
It's in cute little really nostalgic looking bottles.
That's what I'm saying.
Even.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of got that, like, you look like when you're drinking one, if you only know the Miller's Coors, it is that like, whoa, what is that person drinking?
The hell are you doing?
That.
They are cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, if we all had nostalgia about our older brothers, I'd be doing a ton of cocaine. So, because that's what was in the fridge. So I'm glad your brother kept Red Stripe in the fridge. It must be nice to grow up in Massachusetts and like have like a little farm country and we'll be at Martha's Vineyard drinking Red Stripe.
Drink our little hipster beer.
Yeah, I was at a Philly steak and style sub flat grill serving restaurant trying to figure out who's got cocaine.
And goodies.
And goodies. That's for the hangover. That brings you back.
All right, so I did add one last question because Gabriel is in the lead right now, but I did just add one last just beer question because I felt like we needed something to put this over. So we're going to do it real quick. This is kind of anyone's game. So I say just gamble and just go quick and answer the question. Ready for it?
Oh, my penis.
What was the original name proposed for Miller Lite before it was officially launched?
Oh, Donnie Bright.
Was it Miller Lite with the GH? Was it Steinbeck's Tasty Gold? Was it Gablinger's Diet Beer or Miller Time?
I want to do Steinbeck's Tasty Gold. No one got it, so Gabriel still put the name.
I love that it was originally going to be called Gablinger's Diet
Beer.
Just why?
You fellows like regular beer? Well, I'll tell you what's even better than regular beer.
Gablinger's Diet
Beer.
You're going to want to try it.
After a hard day of beating your wife up and yelling at your children, you're going to want a diet beer, I tell you.
Put your feet up.
I knew Gabriel was going to get that wrong because I knew he'd be so intrigued by Tasty Gold.
I just love that we set him up for failure. But he still won.
It's unfortunate no one else got it right because that would have been great.
It's unfortunate that Gabriel's experiencing a podium.
I think this might be Gabriel's first.
No, he's masturbated before, but
At least using the name Gabriel. I'm not sure what the other ones that he used for.
Fair,
Valid. The
fair.
first time we've known who was in first.
Correct.
For
Correct.
sure.
Yeah.
We make assumptions.
Yeah. A lot of assumptions.
Yeah.
But thank you for everybody for playing trivia. We enjoyed that honestly as much as you guys do. I love seeing everybody in the comments and keeping up with trivia every week. I'm excited for this upcoming week, and I do want to throw this out here real quick. Our Put It in Your Foeder beer is finally done. So it is out of the Foeder and in the bright tank, carbed up. Tiffany and I will be bottling it Monday at Coastal Fermentory,
Yes.
which was wonderful enough to let us put beer in their Foeder for like a fucking year.
Yeah.
So keep up with our social media because we will be bottling that beer Monday. The label's fantastic. The name obviously is gold. And we'll be drinking quite a bit of that beer and it'll be released probably in the week or so after we bottle it. So keep up with us. We're going to have Mike come back on the show with us. Next week is a bro show.
Yeah.
So I know we talked about it. I'm pretty sure I've set up what we're doing next week.
Yeah, it's 40s.
It's 40s, but also if everyone wants to get trivia and they want to win trivia next week, they should also study up because we're going to be doing 40 trivia.
Okay, so it's going to be a lot of Edward.
It's going to be a lot of just trivia based around the 40.
Just the number 40.
I don't know. Just it could be something about 40s. It could be the number 40. Just
it could be that you're
It could be
40.
midlife crisis.
Yeah.
Hate to out you, but yeah, almost.
You're not far behind, soldier.
Yeah, I know. I'm never that far behind Phil. If you catching my drift. All right, so bro show next week. Tiffany's going to be traveling, so it'll just be Phil and I hanging out, drinking 40s.
Again.
Bro
So
show.
Sorry, the internet.
Bro show.
I've let you down another week within like a month.
You've never taken your top off on this show, so you've consistently let this show down.
See you next week. Should have saved that for the ending.
Tiffany's taking her top off. There's an ending involved. You can trust me on that one.
Grief.
Good. God. Jesus, baby-in-law.
Tiffany, you know I can still see you, right?